This time, I will use the Cross-Eye from Dragon Quest as a Pokémon in Ruby. The Cross-Eye is the first boss in the original Monsters game that cannot be recruited no matter what, but he does join you in the 3DS remake. His base stats are derived from his growth tables used in the GBC games, and unfortunately, they are not great, with everything except defense being below average. To make him more usable, I've bumped up his defense and special stats slightly. I could have buffed his HP and attack instead, since Table 14 has the most average growth, but I wanted to make his stats more balanced. So, he will have 70 HP in attack, 121 defense, 63 special attack, 64 special defense, and 72 speed, for a total of 460. This is pretty average by Gen 3 standards, before the power creep started to go out of control. The original DQM games use a lookup table to calculate stats, and higher indices don't always mean better stats. The growth rate of each stat can also vary at different levels. Some tables like 6 and 19 grow quickly only before level 17, while some like 11 and 25 grow quickly only after level 42. His move pool is based on his Hypnotist skill set from the remake and the skills he uses as a boss. He uses Tier 2 Ice skills against you as a boss, and the Hypnotist set contains skills that can cause sleep, confusion, and stun. He is depicted as very lazy, and his trait in the remake allows him to attack all enemies when asleep, hence slack off and sleep talk. All basic solo run rules apply. I'm not using hidden power due to its luck-based nature in this gen. I will set up a Cross-Eye with a neutral nature, perfect IVs, and pre-applied EVs. Natures are pointless as I could edit the base stats directly to buff or nerf. Max special attack EV is a given, and the rest is split between attack and speed, favoring attack. His typing will be ground and ice, since he's in the beast family, which basically corresponds to the ground type, and he uses ice skills. Needless to say, this is a terrible combination, being weak to all 3 starter types, as well as fighting and steel, while only resisting 2 types, one of which is the useless poison. His ability will be Keen Eye to match his appearance, which gives an immunity to moves like Sand Attack. I put him in the standard 1 million experience group, since he levels up at a medium rate in all DQM games. Also, I gave him access to a few off-type moves like Confusion and Water Pulse, just to differentiate him from Piloswine and Mamoswine. But he's still likely going to be a worse version of Mamoswine in every way. Roxanne's gym shouldn't be any challenge. I'm not weak to rock due to my ground typing, and I have Mud Slap and Hypnosis to debuff and disable the enemies. By the way, I went with Hypnosis instead of Yawn for sleep because the AI doesn't know to switch, so it just makes Yawn a delayed spore that hits 100% of the time. Icy Wind obviously one-shots the Geodude, which has virtually no special defense. Nosepass isn't weak to ice, so I'll just put it to sleep and chip it down with Icy Wind. I already have Icy Wind, so I won't need the awful Rock Tomb. Interestingly, the AI in Gen 3 treats both of these moves as non-damaging speed debuffs. Mud Shot might be programmed differently as it can't hit flying types. I'm only level 18 for the second gym, and I'm weak to fighting, but I do have Hypnosis and Confusion, plus Fake Out for some free damage. I just used Fake Out for stun, since there are no moves like Warcry in Pokémon that can make all enemies miss a turn. Such moves will be useless anyway, because you can't move multiple times a turn in Pokémon, and most in-game battles are one-on-one. Brawly gives the TM for bulk up, but since the Cross-Eye is very lazy, he can't learn it. The second rival battle could be annoying, because I'm weak to literally his entire team. But thankfully, all of his Pokémon are dreadfully slow and fragile. Maybe I should have given him the Combusken team, but it doesn't matter, since he never fully evolves his starter. Dizzy Punch is another one of those obscure moves that nobody ever uses. It's just a weaker but more accurate version of Rock Climb, with a 20% chance to confuse. Spinda and Kangaskhan are the only Pokémon that can learn it. Watson's gym actually required a lot of luck to beat, even though I'm immune to electric. All of his Pokémon know Sonic Boom that does a fixed 20 damage, but my HP stat isn't great, and I have no way to one-shot any of them. You can't get the persim or citrus berry at this point, and the oran berry probably isn't going to help, but it's still better than nothing, I guess. His Magnemite and Magneton resist everything I have, and Dizzy Punch isn't a one-shot on his Voltorb. So basically, I need to get lucky with Hypnosis not missing on the Magnemite, so I don't get hit by Supersonic. And roll high damage or get a Confuse on the Voltorb, just to face the Magneton at full health. Then I still need to get lucky with Hypnosis or Confusion, since I can only take 4 Sonic Booms, and he has 2 potions. Thankfully, the turns he uses potions do not count down the sleep timer, so I'm guaranteed a free turn afterwards if it's asleep. Maybe I should have kept Mud Slap for the super effective damage and accuracy debuff, but it's such a bad move, with only 20 power and 10 PP. This should be the hardest gym battle. There's still the fire gym, but I will have access to Dig by then. Watson gives the TM for Shockwave, which sounds like a ground-type move, but it's not. It could have been handy as a coverage move for electric Pokémon, which all have abysmal move pools in this gen. I picked up and learned the TM for Dig, which is the only other ground-type move I can learn before getting Earthquake. I will need it for the upcoming Fire Gym. The first Maxi battle shouldn't be any challenge, since his team is quite underleveled for this point in the game. His Mightyena has Intimidate to punish physical attackers, but it's only level 24, and I can just hit it with Icy Wind. The only fire move his Camerupt has is Ember, so it can't do much to me either. Its magnitude can hit me when I'm underground, but I'm not weak to it, and defense is my best stat. Flannery's gym could be a problem if one of her Slugmas set up Sunny Day when I'm using Dig, because chances are I won't be able to survive an overheat from her Torkoal. The Akka Berry didn't exist yet, so I probably need to use Dizzy Punch instead on her Slugmas and hope for one-shots. I don't think her Slugmas have Flame Body, but I equipped a Rost Berry just in case. Dizzy Punch wasn't a one-shot on her second one, and its Flamethrower did almost half, so I would have to bank on Hypnosis not missing her Torkoal, and that it doesn't wake up immediately. Well, the good thing is that I burned both of her potions. I got really lucky here, with Hypnosis not missing and Dizzy Punch confusing. And Dig was enough to take it out. I obviously can't learn Overheat, and it's not a good move in solo runs anyway due to the special attack penalty. You can buy the Ice Beam TM at the casino for $80,000. It's number 13, but the game doesn't tell you that, which is really terrible design. Anyway, I'm not going to use it yet, since it only has 10 PP. Norman's gym is pretty much a free win, if I don't do something completely stupid. His Slackings have Truant, and I have Dig. Dig only has 60 power in Gen 3, and it only does about a quarter to his first Slacking. I wanted to save some Dig PP for his second one, but I forgot that it would only use Focused Punch due to my fighting weakness. Ice Punch just two-shot it, so I guess it must have maxed physical defense and no special defense EVs. Dig actually did more to his second Slacking, despite its higher level. Its EVs are probably in HP instead, but I have no idea. I'll have to find some way to look into the game's data and see the exact stats of each enemy Pokémon. I know for certain that some of them have speed EVs, like Sydney's Shiftry and Glacia's first Glalie, but I have no idea how the rest of them are distributed. Norman gives the TM for Facade, which is too situational to be useful, and you really don't want to keep a status ailment in a solo run without doing RNG manipulation. The Cross Eye is clearly based on a bear, and most bears can swim, so I allowed him to learn Surf. Hypnosis is just too unreliable, so I replaced it with Shockwave to deal with water and flying types. I will have to relearn it for the Pokémon League though. The rival is very much a joke at this point. His team is severely underleveled, and he doesn't have a single fully evolved Pokémon. Due to the quirky AI in this gen, his Marshtomp will almost always use Mud Shot, because I'm faster and not immune to it. Winona's Flying Gym should be a piece of cake. I'm an Ice type, and I have Shockwave to deal with her Skarmory. I'm also immune to its Sand Attack. I have enough EVs to outspeed her Swellow, which is obviously a one-shot with Ice Punch. Shockwave hits her Pelipper's double weakness and almost one-shots her Skarmory, although I don't see how shockwaves can hit things in the sky when they travel along the ground. Hey, it's Pokémon logic for you. Altaria has a double weakness to ice, so yeah, one shot. I didn't make Aerial Ace compatible, although Ursaring can learn it for some reason. Here's the last rival battle in these games, but he still doesn't have a full team or a fully evolved starter. They probably wanted him to play more of a support role, as opposed to Green and Silver, but they could have at least given him a final form starter, if only for the Pokédex entry. Besides, Wally only fights you once with a proper team, and he didn't even take the third starter. Anyway, I just wish they gave these rival characters some more importance and made them more challenging. I can't fight the Psychic Gym without another Pokémon, so I grabbed an HM Mule. I'm not weak to Psychic, but my special defense is pretty bad, and their Solrock knows Sunny Day and Flamethrower to weaken my Surf and do a lot of damage. I have to equip a Chesto Berry for Hypnosis. I don't have Sleep Talk yet, so if I get put to sleep, it's basically GG. Unfortunately, Surf has no friendly fire in this gen, so its damage is halved when hitting two opponents. The Solrock's Flamethrower did a lot to me despite its awful special attack, but my Zigzagoon survived long enough to land its own Surf, which actually helped to chip its HP down to just below half. I don't know what was going on with the AI this time, but the Lunatone was intent on putting me to sleep instead of attacking. This resulted in the Zigzagoon surviving the entire battle, which was something I've never seen before. The AI usually prioritizes taking knockouts over inflicting ailments or debuffs, so this was certainly an unusual sight. They give the TM for Calm Mind, which seems quite appropriate on the Cross-Eye. It's probably the only way for me to beat the Pokémon League, short of grinding to an insane level. The Persim Berry is mandatory for the second Maxi fight, since both his Mightyena and Crobat can inflict confusion. Ice Punch doesn't one-shot his Mightyena, but it missed a scary face, and potions can't save it. His Crobat is obviously faster, but I still have my Persim Berry, and I can one-shot it with Ice Punch. I don't need Dig anymore since I have the Earthquake TM, so I replace it with Slack Off for recovery. His Camerupt is horribly slow, with a double water weakness, so it won't get a chance to use Eruption, if it even knows it. Before fighting the Water Gym, I went to the Move Deleter to get rid of Surf, so I can replace it with Calm Mind. My water weakness should make Wallace difficult, if not for the fact that he opens with a useless Love Disc that can't do any meaningful damage. I can just equip a Persim Berry, set up Calm Mind on it until I get confused, and then proceed to sweep his team. As the last gym leader, they should have given him something like a Gyarados with Dragon Dance and Thunder Wave as lead, to make it hard, if not impossible, to set up against. A Ludicolo with Leech Seed and Double Team could do the same. Maxi or Archie's lead Mightyena can't do much damage either, but it has Intimidate, and it knows Swagger and Roar to punish setups. It's just that their teams are too small, and their ace Pokémon is either too slow or too fragile. The Water Pulse TM came too late in the game to be useful, but it does have 20 PP, so I'll use it for fighting the trainers on Victory Road, as they give good experience. Before the Wally battle, I replaced Ice Punch with Ice Beam for the extra 20 power. And I have picked up enough PP ups to max it out. All of Wally's Pokémon can inflict status ailments, including the worst of them all, Leech Seed. But since I'm faster, his lead Altaria will always use Dragon Dance, allowing me a turn to set up as well. It has no speed EVs, so one Dragon Dance won't be enough to overtake me. Ice Beam after one Calm Mind should be enough to one-shot everything on his team, except the Magneton, but I'm immune to Electric, and it doesn't know any Steel-type moves. Flash Cannon and Magnet Bomb didn't exist until the next generation. I need to relearn Hypnosis for the League, because of Phoebe's first Dusclops that knows Curse. While it doesn't have any special defense EVs, I'm definitely not strong enough to one-shot it with an unboosted Blizzard. Here are my stats and moves. My only good stat is defense, which is offset by my horrible typing. Ice Beam is all I need for both Sydney and Phoebe, and I can just replace Hypnosis with Brick Break for Glacia later. Sydney is a free win since I'm immune to Sand Attack. I can just set up Calm Mind on his Mightyena and sweep the rest of this team with Ice Beam. Blizzard definitely won't one-shot Phoebe's Dusclops, so I won't bother learning it. It might have 30% chance to freeze, but it only has 70% accuracy, whereas Hypnosis has 60% chance to hit. Anyway, I need Hypnosis to hit, and then I need her Dusclops to stay asleep for the next turn while I use Calm Mind. Well, Hypnosis did hit, but it woke up immediately and used Curse. This is an instant GG, because even though I can heal myself, it won't be enough. Her first Dusclops should be a guaranteed one-shot after a single Calm Mind, so I just need to get less unlucky with the sleep timer. Sydney was still a free win, and I was able to get back to Phoebe in no time. I get the 2-turn sleep this time, and the rest of her team should be no threat. I even got a freeze on her second Dusclops, but it wouldn't have changed the result since it has nothing that can threaten me. I don't think I need Hypnosis anymore, so I'll replace it with Brick Break for Glacia. She has the worst team in the league, but I don't actually resist ice, and all 3 of her seals are part water type. Ice types can't be frozen, so I equipped a Citrus Berry. It only heals 30 HP instead of 25% in Gen 3, but it should still buy me an extra turn. Brick Break should 2-shot both of her Glalis and Celios, but it might need 3 or 4 hits to knock out her Walrein, which has a lot of HP. This means I will have to set up Calm Mind anyway, just for the special defense boost. The problem with this approach is that I'm giving her so many turns to attack, and each attack has a 1 in 16 chance of being critical, as happened here. Critical hits ignore all debuffs on the attacker and all buffs on the opponent. With that said, I don't really have anything better against her than Brick Break. All of her seals triply resist ice due to their typing and thick fat ability, and I don't want to get stuck with Surf. It was a 2-shot on her first 4 Pokémon, and it did just under half to her Walrein, but unfortunately, it landed a critical Surf and bypassed my special defense boost. Critical hits were kind of inevitable when I was taking so many turns with Brick Break and Slack Off, so I'll change my strategy this time, to give her fewer turns to attack. The first 2 battles went the same way, so I'll just speed through them. But this time, instead of Brick Break, I'll learn Psychic for Glacia. It's a special move, so it benefits from Calm Mind, and since I can't be frozen, I can just set up on her first Glalie. This worked out well, with Psychic one-shotting all her Pokémon after a few Calm Minds. After all, the fewer turns you give your opponents to attack, the less likely that they will land a crit. I will equip a cherry berry for Drake, although it won't matter since Ice Beam will easily one-shot everything on his team. I have enough EVs to outspeed his Flygons, which have no speed EVs, and his Salamence won't be able to one-shot me with a non-crit flamethrower. Apparently, his Salamence has no speed EVs either. Its speed should be about 133 at level 55, and I'm barely faster after the 10% badge bonus. For Steven, I need to equip a Pecha Berry, since his lead Skarmory knows Toxic. It might just attack me with Steel Wing instead due to my weakness, so I should be able to get at least one Calm Mind in either way. I also replaced Psychic with Earthquake for his Aggron and Metagross. His Skarmory opened with Spikes, which does nothing except giving me a free turn to set up. It did land a Toxic on the second turn, but my Ice Beam easily one-shot it after 2 Calm Minds. Aggron has massive defense, but also a double weakness to ground, so it couldn't survive my Stab Earthquake. Cradley is weak to ice, and Armaldo doesn't have a lot of HP, so they were both one-shots as well. But his Metagross only has a single weakness to ground, and it took me out with a critical Meteor Mash. I do have good defense, but not a lot of base HP, and I have no HP EVs, so I'm not exactly sure if that crit mattered. If it has maxed attack EVs, which it probably does, it could have been a one-shot on me without a crit. Again, I'll have to look into the game's data and find out the exact stats of these Pokémon. Well, I'll just have to try again and find out, and I have plenty of rare candies as last resort. I can consistently win the first 4 battles, so it didn't take me long to get back to Steven. This time, his Skarmory chose to attack me instead, so I was still able to set up 2 Calm Minds on it. I want to be as close to full health as possible for his Metagross, and the safest Pokémon to heal against is Armaldo. Meteor Mash only did 125 damage to me without a crit, so it probably has some attack EVs, but definitely not maxed. Claydol has no priority moves, so this is finally a win for me. So, in conclusion, the Cross-Eye is decidedly mediocre as a Pokémon, just like he is in Dragon Quest Monsters. The ground and ice types are both great offensively, but terrible defensively when combined. Mamoswine has the raw stats and access to newer, better moves, which the Cross-Eye lacks. Next time, I'll try something even worse, just for shits and giggles. Thanks for watching.